Hello, Coolman229 here with another Topic of the Week video. We continue Halloween month, so that means another topic on the MCU. This week's topic was submitted by Tumblr user helbertinelli, and she asked, how would you rewrite Captain America Civil War if you could do it any way you wanted? I have a lot of ideas. In fact, I actually had a lot of ideas that ended up working out a lot better than I had initially thought they would before I knew anything about the movie. I've had friends see it and explain the plot to me. I watched breakdowns. I've watched the honest trailers, the everything wrong with. I've read plot synopsises. So everything good except. So I mean, I know the whole plot of the movie, and good gosh, is it dumb. So before I get into how I would rewrite it and basically what I would do, I'm going to want to talk about a couple things about Civil War first, and stuff about the general MCU. Doing a rewrite of this, I would kind of already be going off of what I would do for the MCU in general. Because you can't just rewrite a single movie, in the MCU. I mean, everything's supposed to be interconnected, and considering the fact that this is the first non-Avengers movie to actually group the Avengers characters together, is absolutely ridiculous. This is phase freaking 3. And I mean, we didn't have any, crossover help with Iron Man 3, despite the fact that Bruce is probably sitting in an Avengers Tower / the remodeled Stark Tower. The whole movie, no help from Captain America. Thor's out because he doesn't come back until the Dark World, but it's a big problem. Now, I'm not going to sit here and get into all my rewrites for all the movies, because that would take a while. So, I'll limit it to simply just talking about Captain America Civil War. Now, one of the biggest issues with Captain America Civil War is probably one of the same issues with Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice, aside from being dumb movies. It's the whole, good guys beating the crap out of each other. Yeah, grim, gritty, darkness. They're more or less the same movie. And the problem is not heroes in conflict with each other. In fact, I actually think we need that. Like when you see Batman and Superman, they have ideological differences. Their worldviews are differences. The way they tackle crime is different. They have completely different viewpoints of the world. That's why they have conflict with each other, and this is where they butt heads. The movie missed the point completely by making Batman ridiculously out of character and making Superman ridiculously out of character, and they're more or less the same person. Just one has powers and one's murdering psychopath. They're just misses the point. What I'm getting at here, there's this core concept that people like. It's basically who would win in a fight between X and Y? Who would win in a fight between Batman and Superman? Who would win in a fight between Captain America and Iron Man? And this kind of idea has been teased in the MCU before. Avengers is the first movie to do it, mainly during its demonstration of showing how Steve and Tony don't get along with each other before they eventually get along and form the Avengers officially. I understand the fun, I understand the fun of this. Who would win and actually seeing them fight. Oh yeah, it's cool. Here's the problem. Here's what Batman v Superman and what Civil War have gotten completely wrong. You're not supposed to make them actually hate each other. At least, not consistently. You're supposed to provide a situation where they would fight. In fact, we see quite a bit of infighting of the Avengers characters in Avengers. And I know that there is a Hulk versus Iron Man fight in Age of Ultron. So, I mean, you provide these situations where they do fight each other. Avengers did it good. You see Iron Man fighting against Thor. You see Thor trying to fight Captain America. And you see those scuffles And that's what they're supposed to be, scuffles. These characters aren't supposed to be completely against each other. They sort their problems out and realize, hey, we're kind of after the same thing here. And ultimately Thor joins them and teams up. Captain America Civil War takes this idea of, who would win, and it tries to make an entire plot out of it. It treats this as the basest and core element of the plot. Oh, it's Team Cap versus Team Iron Man. Jeez, I feel like I'm reliving the Twilight heyday back in high school. Oh, are you Team Edward or are you Team Jacob? Yeah, that's what it is. This is what Marvel has been reduced to. It's what it is. It's cheap marketing. These are one of the biggest problems, that these characters haven't become friends. So you can't just completely wreck the friendship that they've really only had in Age of Ultron. And even then, you've completely wrecked everything with Winter Soldier. So you have this one movie, you have the two Avengers movies where they act sort of like friends, they're starting to become friends. Then you completely destroy everything with all this stupid crap. And ultimately nothing really matters. It's dumb. Zemo as a villain is dumb. He's just one of those villains who, he reads the script. He only is intelligent and smart in the same way that Light Yagami is intelligent and smart. He's coddled by the writer, and basically and the plot revolves around them succeeding. People give Loki's plan in Avengers a lot of crap, of him getting captured, and then him, freeing the Hulk, all this stuff. But then they no commentary on Zemo's plan? And then it has to make Bucky the main thing. It has to make Bucky the big deal between Steve and Tony. And of course, you had to have the Winter Soldier kill Tony's parents. I know it was never explicitly stated, but it was heavily implied in Iron Man 1 that Obadiah was behind that. But it's Hydra, and then Winter Soldier's like, no, it was Hydra, because we freaking love Hydra. If you love Hydra, then you're going to love my ideas for for Captain America Civil War. So, regardless of what happened before, it really doesn't particularly matter. Because, we're still, a lot of these are set up to be individual stories anyway. So, regardless of whether this is taking from MCU canon or my own personal canon that I have rewritten, the idea of this story remains the same. And I find it absolutely hilarious. I came up with a lot of this before Winter Soldier even came, before Civil War even came out. So basically, I like this idea, like, you see the Avengers together, because we need more of that. And I don't understand why we haven't gotten more of that. We don't need every single movie being an Avengers movie, because that's the draw of an Avengers movie. We just need to see them working together. But seeing the Avengers working together, I like the idea of something goes wrong and, they're, blamed for something, for some disaster. And then, and then the UN is just like, this is going too far, we need to control you. And I mean, well, personally, I would still have S.H.I.E.L.D. around, because Winter Soldier would not happen anywhere close to how it did. So then Nick Fury is just like, nope, we don't follow that. And then you have this sort of idea of, well, are the Avengers too dangerous? Bringing up this idea is not a problem. It's never giving any real clear answer and not even understanding what the movie's own philosophy is. That is a problem. Steve and Tony would be bringing up the counterpoints. Well, look at all the damage to Manhattan. Okay, would you have preferred the Earth get invaded? Because that's what would have happened. And whenever stuff happened in other movies, well, look at this. Okay, and we prevented a greater threat from happening. But the UN is, has this German advisor and strategist, and he's talking about how the Avengers are dangerous and they're just going to invite more threats, yada yada, and all this stuff. And it seems like he's proven right when it seems like there's this big threat coming in. So there's this pressure from the world governments and the UN to control the Avengers and have them basically exist to do what the UN says. Tony, of course, is not having any of it. He's like, F you guys, I already told you what I think about the government. I think you're dumb. And he's just like, Team Iron Man, walks off. Steve is thinking, well, maybe we do need to be reined in a bit. And of course, Tony's just like, oh, Steve, think. And you can have conflict from that. You can have them butt heads, and you can even have it come out to a fist fight. Have them make do on the fight that that was teased in Avengers 1. And you can have, I don't want the whole thing of taking sides. It would basically be, even if they, after a scuffle, they realize that, something seems wrong here. And, you can even have General Ross in, but if we have General Ross in, we have to have Betty in. And if we have Betty in, we need to have Bruce in. And we can have a little bit of Bruce and Betty, bring back Liv Tyler. If, I'm sure that they can, Marvel and Disney can manage that. You can do that and have, him be pushing this, but his agenda is getting the Hulk and getting that gosh darn Hulk away from my daughter. Stuff like that. And, you have this sort of, push and flow, or, back and forth with the governments. Ultimately, the Avengers group together, and even you have other characters, like, if you have, like, Ant-Man, in my version, I'd have Hank Pym, be the Ant-Man there. And you have the heroes kind of band together and be like, okay, we're not just here, to serve you, and we're not going to just bow down to you, whatever you say, or a response team. We're here to stop big threats. Excuse me. And when they come together, we come and stop, massive world-ending threats. And then they start sending, the government starts going after them. They start hunting the heroes. This ultimately is where the Civil War aspect comes in, which I would kind of hide that a little bit. If you put advertisements, make it look like it's going to just be hero versus hero, but then it's actually heroes versus the governments, and you have S.H.I.E.L.D. teaming up, shielding the Avengers and any superheroes, and it seems like the Superhero Registration Act it's going out of control, and Nick Fury doesn't like it at all. So they start looking into the one person who's been pushing this behind the scenes for several years, this German advisor. So he's, they look into it and they basically find that his records seem to be falsified. And then they dig in more and they eventually confront this guy and find out it's the Red Skull, wearing a mask, another identity. And this is the one thing that really pisses me the hell off about the MCU. You had freaking Hugo Weaving as a villain. You had him as Red Skull, and he knocked it out of the freaking park. He was so great. He's been rebuilding Hydra using funds from the UN to rise up again and take over the world. But this time with the assistance of Thanos. And this is, of course, building up, the thing with Thanos. And in my personal canon, Avengers 2 would involve fighting Thanos for the Infinity Stones, which would be much more prominent in Phase 2. And this is ultimately continuing the Infinity Wars. In a way, you could actually consider a lot of this an arc, like a saga. But you have them eventually fight, and it basically kind of features callbacks to Captain America 1. Now, one thing about Hydra is that Hydra by itself is not interesting. This is something I think Marvel kind of doesn't understand. Just slapping Hydra on it, it's not interesting. I'm not as familiar with Captain America comics, but Red Skull is the most interesting thing about Hydra, to be perfectly honest. Zola doesn't matter. Zola is a schmuck. Who cares about Zola? He ends up being used as nothing more than a plot point anyway. And we have this tease at the end, because you see in Avengers, or Captain America the First Avenger, when the Red Skull grabs the Tesseract, he's like sucked into this portal. He's not blown up or anything, he's literally, teleported somewhere. So where? Avengers outright, outright shows you that the Tesseract can open these, portals and open doors to the other galaxy, the other side of the galaxy or whatever. So he got teleported to some part in space, and Thanos picked him up and is using his own rage and evilness for his own gains to fight the Earth and to court death. So then that becomes the ultimate conflict, and the leaders of the world and they basically do end up exposing him, and then Hydra rises, and it's this like Avengers and Shield versus Hydra, and then it's like it ends up looking like they're defeated, but maybe not. And I haven't actually like come out with a big story. It's not like my ideas of like Skyfall, my rewrite is for Skyfall or The Force Awakens, where I've have a pretty complete idea of what the story would be. This is a lot of general ideas, but this is how you make a Captain America Civil War movie. If you're calling this Captain America Civil War, actually make it legitimately relevant to the Captain America movies. Just tossing in Bucky and being like, hey look, Bucky's super important, guys. Because everyone loves Bucky, even though this version of Bucky's gotten less interesting as the movies went on. This is how it would go. And this is how I think it would work. And I do want to hear what some of you guys think, because I know I'm not the only one who wants to bring Red Skull back, because he's such a great villain and he was only in one movie. It's like you can't just have Loki. Having multiple characters, vying for this attention for a villain's place is actually really interesting. It really drives this plot, and you have all these different villains fighting, for that top spot. It adds more layers to the story, and it makes each individual character's villains more relevant. You have Loki being Thor's villain, ultimate villain of Avengers, and you'd have Captain America's the Red Skull have him come back in Captain America Civil War. Civil War was a terrible plotline, but you can take a few ideas of it and make this good. And I hope I'm not the only one who thinks that my ideas would actually work, because the important thing is to respect these characters and respect the stories they're in and respect their franchises. But most of all, do something good. Make something quality. It's not too hard, really. And I think that this idea of, the Avengers all banding together with S.H.I.E.L.D. to fight, corrupt governments and a reborn Hydra, that sounds interesting. I would pay to see that. I don't want to see Captain America and Iron Man hate each other. Tony and Steve barely became friends and they wrecked their friendship. But that's what I would do. That's how I would rewrite Captain America the Civil War. Because the idea, and it's funny because a lot of people don't even realize this, a lot of story ideas that are bad can be worked if they tweaked. I can make Sonic 06 a good story. Yes, I can tell you, I can do that. I already have a bunch of ideas. but that's really not relevant to this. The point is that you can take these ideas, even if this movie is outright terrible, you can take these ideas and work them into something better. And that's what I did. But ultimately, the movie would end, really, in, a victory over Red Skull. Red Skull probably captured. The UN basically apologizing for basically screwing the Avengers over. And now they have refound trust in the Avengers and what they do and of S.H.I.E.L.D. And of course, you can still bring in some of the, stuff like, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s moral grace and stuff, which is really screwed up in Winter Soldier. But ultimately, you kind of set the stage for, future movies. And of course, Avengers 3. I think that's about it. I do honestly want more ideas of... If you like some of my ideas, please say so in the comments. Or reblog if you're on Tumblr. If you have other ideas of rewriting Captain America Civil War, or even other movies in the MCU, please comment below. I actually want to hear this, because I know a lot of people have some great ideas, and these ideas aren't the only ones. And hell, if you have better ideas for stuff like Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark World, Captain America Winter Soldier, even Guardians of the Galaxy, or Ant-Man, or Age of Ultron, or something like that, I'd like to hear them. I think a lot of people don't talk about what the MCU could be, because a lot of people are too busy praising the MCU blindly, because they're all still high off the Avengers hype. But please, I do want more discussion on this. I do want to hear a lot of people's ideas on this movie, especially when it comes to Civil War, because it's kind of what this topic is all about. Anyway, if you want to watch last week's topic video, you can check that out here. If you want to watch next week's topic video, I'll put that up here when I get that done. If you want to submit a topic, if you're on YouTube, you can simply comment below. And if you're on my Tumblr, you can send me an ask and do topic, and then whatever you want me to talk about. Just make sure you follow the rules that I'll be posting down below. Make sure that the topic is something fictional, or even if it's from a meta perspective, it's about, something... fictional. It's about movie, a book, a TV show, something like that. But most importantly, I don't want it to be a real world topic. I don't want to talk about, religion or anything like that. That's not the point of this. I want to keep it at least kind of fun in the kinds of topics I'm doing. Anyway, yeah, that's about it, and thank you for watching.